Welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're here. And right now I'm doing life coaching for empathic and highly sensitive people because I am an empath. I didn't know what it was. I just thought I was, too sensitive and all the things we're called because people don't understand us. I was even called Sarah Heartburn instead of Sarah Bernhardt by my family. They are pest. I mean, my energy was so different than my family's, and so it's been a difficult challenge, and I am dedicated to helping people now find out the information so they don't have to go through the struggles I went through, because it's still a difficult road. We're different. We have different neurology. So let me just start with this one thing I want to read. I approach the empowering of creative and intelligent, intuitive people in a non-therapeutic way. We are not broken. We are only uneducated about our special mental equipment. If we were musical geniuses but couldn't access education that would teach us to make beautiful music, we might just tap on a table with a pencil or hum to ourselves without a way to expand our gifts. We have these beautiful, natural, highly tuned brains, and with understanding of how to care for ourselves, we glow from the light of our sensitivity. We're here to balance the planet with love, but we must know who we are and how to feel safe in a world that's not designed for us. So let's get started. From day one, I don't need these anymore. Sensitivity was something that wasn't important. It wasn't a powerful thing. The way society came about, sensitivity was thought of maybe a feminine quality, and it was maybe you take care of the kids or you cook or whatever, but it's not something where there was a sense that there's a power to it. And that's a sad part, because this has been passed down through the generations. So whoever, our parents or whoever told us that sensitivity wasn't good, it's because, well, it interferes with the way the power structure is. So it's been going on forever. It's not a planet that has really thrived on sensitivity. If it was, we'd have a different situation here, as we know. Who are we? Who are these people? We are human. We are, and we are different. We're 20% of the population, which actually is over 1 billion people in the world. Think about that. And many, of course, are probably in cultures that there is no way that they could find out they are. But the point is, there are a lot of us. We're emotionally sensitive, which can create problems, but it also really, we get to feel the range of feelings. So if we know how to balance that and feel solid in ourselves and trust ourselves, it's a beautiful thing. We understand about people. We see things. I have a way of going into organizations and just seeing the little problems and being able to find them. I don't know how, I didn't know why, I didn't know it was because I was highly sensitive or an empath, but we can see the bigger picture and we can understand that. We can recognize if someone is not telling the truth, and some extreme empaths feel that. And I don't know if I feel it or I just know it. And thank goodness I'm not all the way to the other side. And we care. We're about the heart. We care about people, and we're very, very perceptive. So when you look at these things, you go, well, this is some kind of cool stuff to be able to have and access on this planet, especially at this point in time. There's value. So there's a spectrum. There's a range of people, from people that are maybe have some empathy, oftentimes only in very specific circumstances. Like if there's a car accident and they move forward. There's less of that right now, I think. It's a pretty strange world. We're not going in that direction. But empaths are more sensitive because they have a special neurology that well, we'll go into that. So it allows us to perceive and know more, but we care more. I don't know, why that is, but there's a reason that we're here, and that's important to me. So we have something called more active mirror neurons, and these mirror neurons support us to really connect with the outside world. And because we have more, we take in more information, we take in more senses, and we feel more. And that gives us more truth, but it also is very difficult. Somebody explained to me that compared to a regular person, that maybe they take in like 5 cups of information where we take in 100. Well, when we get that kind of overload in our body, we better learn how to take care of it. And that's part of the problem. We haven't known that that's coming at us like that. We don't even understand it, and it makes issues. And it's called sensory processing sensitivity. And again, we are born with more active mirror neurons, but also a more highly sensitive amygdala. And the amygdala is the fight or flight part of the ancient brain. That's the defense mechanism that kept us alive from the saber-toothed tigers. I'm thinking, was there no other animals? I'm always cracking up about this. Could have been an elephant coming at me. No, it has to be a saber-toothed tiger. They always say it that way. But, and unfortunately, children that suffer from emotional abuse or neglect, also this is something that they develop. It's inborn in a lot of us, but it's also developed. And I would think it's definitely a defense mechanism from what they're experiencing. The sensitivity happens. So it can be very sad for people because they're sensitive, they don't know why, and they've been abused, and that's a tough thing. And it could be both too. My father died before I was born, when my mother was 6 months pregnant, and I know in the womb I got a lot of negative information. And then I had more when I came out. So I had like double shot to deal with. And it's been challenging. So what we do is we put on a mask, right? I mean, we all put on a mask, but we put on a mask to feel like we're going to fit, because oftentimes we feel like we don't fit. You know, I'm a misfit. I'm on the wrong planet. There's something different about them. I don't understand how they function. I'm not like that. I get really exhausted. I want to be alone, whatever. And what we do is it creates imposter syndrome. We could be the most brilliant people in the world, and many are. Very famous people can feel like they are imposters because they haven't really connected who they are. They have been able to be successful, and there are very many successful people like that, but they don't really believe in themselves. I don't know if you've ever heard any interviews with people like that, but they go, "What? How could you think you're an imposter?" You know, and even I have that at times. I'm never good enough. The perfectionist thing is part of it. Oftentimes, because we don't think we fit, we settle for less caring relationships, less in the work area, because it's very challenging to be surrounded by, let's say, in an organization with all the information coming at you and all the stuff, all this emotional stuff. We have a problem with that, so we settle for less. We suppress our gifts. We don't even know we have them. And so we suppress them, and these are our gifts. These are the things that really make us who we are, but we haven't known that. And again, not trusting our inner guidance. So intuition, for me, intuition, I'll know there's something in a mailbox, or I know something is coming, or something like that, but it really, I did not use my intuition to really guide my life because it didn't feel safe. Because my intuition told me what other people said was wrong. It was completely in conflict, and it was horrible. And don't trust others. You know, do I believe me or them? Well, there are more of them, and they all seem to believe 80% of the population. They believe something, so there's something wrong with me. I don't know what I'm talking about, and it builds a lot of insecurity in people because they don't trust themselves. They can't. And there was never really, until you said 20 years ago that you read a book, but I didn't see anything until about 12 years ago. So it's just, thank goodness it's starting to come out, because there are a lot of people, I think, that could help this world when they really get the strength of what they are. I love this picture. It was in a Tony Robbins class. It was the first, he did the one online. It was during COVID. But I love her because even though it's a girl, but it's like, I'm on top of the world. I'm looking out, I can see what's going on, and I'm standing in my power. And I just have a thing about this picture, and it just happened to come up in a little workshop that we did in the middle of the class. And I went, I love her, because she's standing in that kind of power position, and she is checking out everything. She's using her mind and her sensitivity. And that's the point, balancing your heart with your mind. And empaths are heart people. Caring is their calling card. I mean, that's, they're not mental. they're not intellectual. They're not just completely like the rest of the world. We come from the heart, where how could we not if we're caring people? We care so much about that sometimes we give up ourselves. So it's a heart thing. We are heart people, and we are needed in a world that needs to balance the other stuff that has just taken over. And it was never meant to be that way. You know, it was meant to have the balance of the heart and the mind to be able to create a really wonderful world, but that other stuff has just taken over and taken the feeling out of life. And for people, like we know from the shooting the other day, that's people just don't feel. So I want to, do any of you have paper? I should have brought some. If you have paper or something to write on, I want you to look at the next two slides, and if you can, or think about it, just remember, and write down, and let me just see, that's the next slide. Oh, not yet. Yeah, I want you to write down, as you're looking at these common experiences and these things that get to people, what is the one that's the hardest for you? And maybe you're not an empath, but it still could be hard for you. And which is really your sensitivity gives you something that's a gift. And then just think about that, and we'll talk about that after, and how those things have affected your life. So I'll just give everyone a minute. I should have remembered to bring paper. Oh well. We'll live. Oh, great. Just let me know when everybody's kind of ready. So this is really simple. There's like lists and you know, of experiences. Some people call them traits. I don't think they're what, more? We good? We good. Okay. All right. Some other person that works with empaths calls them traits. I call them experiences. These are common experiences that people have. They're not traits. Traits are something that are inborn. So I want you to look at this list and see if there's anything on this list that you can relate to. And again, what's the hardest one for you? What would be the most challenging one? And what's the one that absolutely lights you up, that gives you happiness or power? And then there's one more slide. And after we'll do a Q&A, I'm just curious as to what you're going to say about that. Normally in a different type of situation, we'd be writing and talking and all that, but. Okay, is everyone done with this slide? No. Okay. Let your intuition find it. Don't think, just do. That's when the good stuff comes, top of mind. Okay, mostly everybody ready now for the next one? No? Okay. So you're a lefty, I get it. I'm a lefty too. So these are some of the experiences of highly sensitive people or empaths. They say the difference between highly sensitive and empaths is that empaths actually take on the feelings of other people, and I'm not sure. These are all words. You know, it's you're sensitive. These are your experiences. I don't like labels. We know we're sensitive. And it's really hard sometimes because I'm going highly sensitive people or empaths. But basically that's what they say. An empath is someone that feels you. Now I think I do, but I don't feel like it overwhelms me. And it does with some people, and that's what causes a depression and anxiety and overwhelm. Okay, you ready? All right. So there's more on this one. So these are some of the problems that can come from having this and not understanding the skill and the gift of it. We have been told that forever that we are sensitive, and it sounds like there's something wrong with us. There's something, we have to protect ourselves because there's something wrong. But if you don't believe that, and you believe that you have this incredible ability to focus, to be able to help, to be able to perceive, to be able to intuit, and to have empathy, those are gifts that we need in the world. And if you can take away the belief that you're too sensitive, then you can take these skills and you can focus them as superpowers. And that's like so exciting, and that's where I come from. I'm tired of this, like, it's okay, you're really sensitive, and I get it. Some people work that way. I think that we need strong people on this planet right now that have these type of gifts, because this heart thing, we're going to balance it, and we're going to go out there and we're going to make a difference. And so my goal is to reach as many people as possible to help them understand that they got something great that they didn't know about. I have this metaphor that I kind of came up with. If we were given keys to a pretty red Ferrari and we were told to get in and drive it, we'd start the car and we could back up into a truck. We'd go forward and we'd smash the thing to smithereens. And in a way, we have this incredible ability, this incredible Ferrari brain that we haven't understood how to use. And so we've been floundering around, not helping ourselves or other people necessarily, or not allowing ourselves to give what we want to give in the world, or be what we want to be in the world, or have the confidence to know that. So write down if there's anything on this list that either is something that's difficult or something that really, helps you. Of course, this is not a good one, but you never know. Many people are misdiagnosed by therapists because they are not educated. I've gone to many and they don't give me any kind of a test like the list you talked about. I have a questionnaire too. No one asked me if I was, and so they put me in the bracket of the other 80% of the population, and they want to go into my trauma, which is like completely wrong for us, is to go back into it. We already have it. We want to get away from it. So many are on drugs. There was this beautiful 25-year-old woman, just gotten out of college. Her mother said, I don't know what to do with her. And she said to me in the end, after trying to help her, I'm just mentally ill. I mean, she was so convinced by the system that she had all of these diagnoses that she couldn't even accept that she was an empath, and that was a good thing. And to start breaking down those belief systems that were hurting her and making her feel, and living on pills for 7 years that did nothing. It's very sad. So this is why I'm really passionate about educating as many people as I can to the fact that we're cool, So that's what I just said. I already did this. So in the end, if we want to talk about it, we'll do it in the Q&A. They're really, to stay healthy, this is recommended by other people, you take 2 hours of quiet time a day. If you're in a relationship, and it's challenging, that's another thing. Relationships are challenged if one person is an empath or highly sensitive and the other isn't, and they haven't known it, and they come home and they just want to go hide because they need to debrief all of this information. They're in overwhelm, and they need to just be quiet. Just quiet, and the partner doesn't know it because they've never been educated as to what their partner is, and oftentimes leading to divorce because they're on the wrong page. If in fact a person can go into a relationship explaining to a partner, explaining to a boss, explaining to the family what they have because they have this specific neurology, then it's workable. And I was in a situation like that, and it wasn't workable because I was super emotional and everything else, and sensitive, and my partner didn't know. I didn't know. I had no idea. So one day a week, I don't know if that's possible, but you do as much as you can. Really creating strong boundaries, and that's something I think as you really develop your understanding of who you are, that you can do that. You can learn to say no. You can learn to give the love to yourself first, which you need to do. Community is extremely important. I did a workshop a few months ago. There weren't that many people in it, but we were like a fraternity or a sorority. Oh yeah, you too. Oh yeah, you too. And it was so comforting to know that you're with your peeps. And so you are normal in the sense of being empathic and highly sensitive, 20%. But oftentimes we're not, and so we feel different, or we feel lonely because we're not. You need community. Nature is amazing. It is it. It's the best. It's the best for all of us because we are natural beings. We are from nature. But it really is something to give yourself as much as you can. Sleep, which is not easy to do sometimes, is really important. It's the best for us. And play. We don't need to lighten up and have some fun. It's a hard, tough world right now, and we need to just let that joy come out of us because we are heart people. We are love and we are joy, and we need to learn how to play, which could be dancing or singing or being just silly, playing with your puppy. It doesn't matter. That and creativity. Creativity is amazing because it's the other side of your brain, and that's where it's just like that other, all the troubles and all this stuff go away because they're on that other thinking part of your brain, and you just start to generate this amazing energy. It's love creativity, in whatever form you can do it. It doesn't matter. Self-awareness, again, that is the key. You know, my whole goal is to educate people to let go of these beliefs they have that there's something wrong with them. And then getting outside support to do that. I remember many times I said, I wish there was someone like me who could help me, and no one ever did. I sometimes would go into therapy and help them. I mean, seriously, even my doctors, because I have a natural thing with medicine. But, but you really do need someone to mirror what's going on, because 95% of what we think every day is unconscious. So if you don't catch the stuff that you're thinking and you're continuing to reinforce the negatives or the sensitivity that we're bad or all the other stuff that's been built up over the years because of our sensitivity, it's hard to find it, and you need to remove it. So if we are, learning the joys of who we are is critical. When we're not living our truth, we can't really manifest our true desires. And I don't know how many of you have had those moments in quiet time going, gee, I really would love to have done that. I have so much inside me that I'm still haven't given, but don't have the courage to do it or the permission, self-permission to do it. So it's difficult. And the more we think negatively, we are in the negative energy. I'm sure a lot of you understand about energy. And in those lower energies, the shame and the fear and all that, you can't manifest the good stuff. It's the good stuff comes when you're in joy, and so you have to keep yourself as in joy and happiness as possible. All of a sudden, that's when the synchronicities show up in your life, when the good things come in your life. And it's energy. We are made of energy. And I think science has helped us a great deal to understand that. So it isn't just woo-woo stuff. This is real. Yeah, and we just have to really, really love ourselves and honor that we are perfect. That's who we are. I love that, the visual. So free your gifts to become who you are. Care about yourself first, and that's the most important thing. You have to focus on you. You have to give, because we have a thing where we overgive. That was on that slide. We just like, yeah, sure, and I mean, it's so easy to say yes. It's ridiculous. But we never really give that to ourselves. We don't give ourselves the recognition for all the things we do. We just keep pushing. And we're always just, we're never good enough. I mean, I have this thing, and I'm from New York, so that's another excuse. But I just keep going, and I haven't given myself necessarily, wow, did you realize what you did today? What a fantastic thing. It's very challenging to do that for all of us. We're not taught to do that. We just push and push. And when you push, it doesn't necessarily get you anywhere. So let's see where we are here. So she's back. And so you have to really develop your intuition. You've got to learn to trust it. And there are ways to practice it, but I think it's a matter of when something comes to you, meditation helps to bring the intuition. But also, let's say you're making a decision, really, really going inside yourself and seeing if what is it? It's suggested that when you feel expansive, that's the yes. And when you're shut down, that's a no. But start to work with that, get books on it, whatever. There's so many resources for this stuff. Have fun. Be curious. Curiosity was one of the values in NLP. Because that takes it out of, I have to do it. It's like, well, what if? What if this is that? And it's kind of fun. Curiosity is a fun thing to do. And try new things, little by little. Just go out there and do new things. Because sometimes we can get so routinized into what we do, we keep ourselves in a very small box. And that's not a way to grow. Mindfulness, being in the present moment, which is not easy, is something that's very valuable, because when you're in it, you're in a zone. You're in a very different zone. You know, they say the past is just a memory and the future isn't even here yet. We're here right in this minute. So, and gratitude is huge. And more people are understanding the value of gratitude and how it just keeps you feeling good. You're seeing the good about yourself, the good about your life, the good about that. And I think gratitude is a great protection in the world that we're in right now. And being able to really appreciate what we have in our world and not get wrapped up in the terror that's going on out there. We don't know where we're going with it either. So we better, buckle up and really love ourselves and give ourselves what we need to be able to protect ourselves and still move in the world. And if we're empaths, my goal is to have us understand that we have power to make the change by loving people, by caring, by moving out, and it's kind of it's not like protesting or any of that, but it's an energy. And the more people that really feel solid in who they are, the more they're going to give their creativity, and the more that'll help the world change. So one more, I think. And so, I mean, your sensitivity is your superpower, but if you don't know it, you don't understand your perception, your intuition, your understanding of what's going on. And it was very strange to be a child in a family that didn't have any of that. And many of us grow up in those kind of families. And I had all these creative ideas, and I saw the world, I understood the world, and I couldn't share it with anyone. And it is a superpower. So anytime that I've been able to use it in an organization, in relationships with my client, it's wow, and it's an intuitive thing. I let it come through me. It's not intellectual. It comes from my heart and from, I don't know where, but it comes. So develop your gifts. Really work on that. There's still a lot of really good books. There's one book by Colette Davenport, and she's more like me. And I can't remember the name of it, I was going to bring it, but she's more like, come on, let's get out there and do a kick-ass job. You're not broken. And it was like so much fun to find her book, because she was the only one that really supported me. But there are people, and it's not just, it's okay, and put the light around you and all that stuff. No, man, we've got power. We've got this amazing power. And as we get out there and we learn about it, and more people talk about it, and we work on ourselves that way, and we see the talents we have and acknowledge ourselves, the more people and have a community where we are supportive of each other and we help each other understand, then we can make change in the world, and we're needed. So let's see what I have. So I'm doing classes, 1-hour classes next week, and then on the 23rd and 30th here at 10 o'clock in the morning. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little review of some of this stuff, but we're going to dig into those 2 pages of what those issues were and how to deal with them, because they affect your love life, your relationships, money, work, and health, especially health. And so we're going to dig into more of those things, because those are really important to work on. And so that'll be here at 10 o'clock this coming Saturday, and then 23rd and 30th. And I'm really excited. I'm going to continue doing this every weekend, because I want to get more people involved. And not only that, I want to build a community. I want people to come, and it's like they know each other, because there are online communities like that, but it's different. It's so nice to be with people that you meet here and you have commonality. We love to have deep discussions, by the way, so it's really fun to have the class, because we get into some really interesting things. We're not surface conversation people at all. So, for anyone interested or anyone that maybe does need some support, I offer a 30-minute session so that either you can ask questions and learn about yourself and find out how I can help you, and in any of the areas that you need help. And so if you want to book a session, go out to True Heart Training with 1 T in the middle between train and rain. And it's hard, but I didn't want to put 2 T's in it, yeah. And just / book here, and you'll see it at the top of the menu, and there'll be a calendar, and we'll set up a session, and we'll talk by phone, or we could do it as a Zoom call, either way. But it would be lovely because you're local, and it just feels really good. So that's pretty much the story. So thank you very much. I think we're going to do a Q&A. We can record it or not. It's up to them. Do you have questions? You want to talk about what you wrote down, or yes?
You're also really intellectual as well as being highly sensitive. Can you talk about some of the issues or challenges?
Well, because the intellect takes over, because we're so, the ego and the intellect takes over, and so we have to find a way of taming it. I don't know. I don't have any specific thing to tell you to do, except it's all about self-awareness, isn't it? It's like, my brain is taking over. How do I get back into my heart? Okay, I'll do a meditation. I'll do a heart meditation. I'll do gratitudes, those kind of things, mindful things. That'll get you back in your sensitivity and out of your mind. Because I have that kind of mind too, and it's taken me years to...
Do you think they can work together?
They do. Well, that's the whole point. I think that's what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
But we have been so on the other side, and this constant data that's coming at us that we're not. But of course it can, and but it's a belief. You have to believe you can. It's all about belief.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, okay. If someone is extremely intellectual, how does that work with sensitivity? Can they balance the sensitivity? Thank you. If none of us understood about sensitivity, how in the world, again, can we drive our Ferrari and get it off the parking lot and not smash into things? Because it's been out of control. We don't know how to use our talents. This woman was just saying that she's realizing that so much of, people have been telling her things are, you're too sensitive and all that sort of stuff, and now she's seeing that the more she gets to know herself, the more, she feels empowered, and that's the point. We're learning something new that's always been there, but no one understood it and no one taught us how to manage it. And now we're learning how to do that. How cool is that? That's power.
Well, we felt different in a bad way.
We are different, but not, yes.
The trick is to now feel different in a good way.
Right, exactly. That's why you need community. We need us. We need each other to support each other. And then we come out feeling, first of all, my energy rises every time I'm with empathic people because we let our energy come up. But we do. We feel, okay, we're the 20%. In our 20%, we're normal because we have a different kind of a brain, and we're teaching ourselves to use it and love ourselves because of it and let go of the centuries of being taught that it's bad and wasn't good enough and be quiet and pesto. My father remember those big cards? Probably didn't, no one's as old as me, but there's these big greeting cards, and at the bottom my father signs, or dear pesto, and I'm like, I didn't even ever realize that's not a very nice thing to have said to me. But again, as the one that was sensitive in a household where I was taught that I had to, children should be seen and not heard, that's how they perceived me because they didn't know. And it was just ignorance. It's just we're graduating out of the ignorance of understanding the 20% of the people that are like us. It's a hidden minority. It really is. Any other questions or thoughts?
I may have already received answers to this in my head. What's the difference between a psychic and an empath?
I don't know, a psychic, I'm not, because that can get very confusing. I think psychics can read other stuff. I'm not a psychic. I can't do card readings and stuff. I get to a point where I understand people. I can, understand how situations work, but I don't know how to read the future or anything like that. I think it's another level, and I'm not even sure what that is.
The answer that was coming to me is I was already posing the question, was like psychics are more like what's going on around the person, or an empath is more like this person right here, right now.
That's possible. They see other realms.
Without all the
Yeah. No, it's just very normal stuff. It isn't woo-woo. It's a brain. It's a brain that has very active parts of it that bring more information to us. And we have to take care of ourselves because of it. But it's been very confusing because it's like from 5 cups to 100 cups for us. And all this stuff is coming at us. But it's from the environment, and because of the mirror neurons are about relating to what the issues are in the real world. Great. Anyone else? Anything interesting? Anyone have anything else?
Can you say more about the amygdala?
The amygdala is part of the limbic brain with the hippocampus, and I can never remember the other part. And it's that part, and we have very sensitive amygdalas too. And so when something hits us, we'll have anxiety, we'll feel fear. Amygdala is something that, because it's in the limbic brain, which is the original brain, it was there to, again, these saber-toothed tigers were coming at you, or someone was going to take your food, or who knows what else in those days. And so it's very sensitive, and we have to realize that. So if we have a hit of anxiety, it can just be something, first of all, it could be a pattern from the past, from a memory, and we have to work with it. But it is the fight or flight or freeze or flee. Now they've added flee to it. Part, and it's, and it makes a challenge when we're trying to calm down. But when you go, okay, I know I'm triggered here, how else can I go into my gratitude, or go into meditation, or go into go get the trees, go into nature, play with your puppy, anything, it's like, because and bringing that energy down, or breathing, and there's a lot about breathing. There's so many tools now to be able to bring us back. We're not just floating out there in fear and anxiety and taking pills. We can do it, be it naturally. And we can do it by also discovering what makes us feel joy. That's the complete opposite, and that's the higher level of energy where we're going to be able to manifest from. That's where synchronicities show up from. So what can make me joyful? What can I do right now to have a little happiness, even if it's an ice cream cone or whatever it is, playing the piano or a favorite song, just then raises your energy out of the amygdala, and the fear is at the bottom level of energy. It's almost the lowest. Shame is the lowest. That's the pits. It is the pit. So, does that help? Good, yeah. Anyone else?
Can you say something more about how sensitivity develops as a childhood defense strategy? Because, I'm thinking about how that might be. It seems like one option would be to shut down as a defense. So I'm wondering how, in being more sensitive, is it a way for the child to sense who's safe or not?
Well, she was saying, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. What's your name?
Francesca.
Francesca was saying hypervigilant. I was hypervigilant because I had a very difficult mother. And if I wasn't always, I was the kind of, like, you walk on eggshells, so you become hypervigilant to that. That doesn't mean you don't shut down, but you are extremely aware. And if there's danger coming at you, you better have that hypervigilance. It's a very positive thing. The problem is you carry that into adulthood. You don't trust people. You don't trust yourself. And you're always waiting for the shoe to fall instead of expecting good things to happen. But and sometimes, I'm not saying everybody that has this had terrible parents. It could be any little thing that we pick up as a child and accept as a belief about ourselves. Could be our baseball coach. I was just watching a movie, and he's screaming at these kids, and maybe that child went, okay, I'm a terrible person. I can't do anything right. I'm a misfit. And boom, there you go. So it isn't always the parents, but it can be anything in a childhood, because the first 6 years of life, we have delta brainwaves, just recording, of course. That's how we survive as a species. We're recording and we're recording. There is no sense of understanding or filtering out what is real and what isn't. So we just believe. And that stuff gets stuck in there, and we have to start digging it out. were just these little tape recorders, which is wonderful for survival, but not for accepting beliefs that didn't work. Just quick story. 6 years old, I was in Atlantic City, and I have no idea where anyone was, and I heard the song by Ella Fitzgerald, but not for me. And I said to myself at 6 years old, well, that's true. I can't have what I want. And I accepted that just from, and then that played a lot of my life, I'm still working on it, still chipping it out. So it doesn't have to be anything except what you might just accept that you don't even realize. You just assume it. So, does that make sense? All good?
Yeah, I'm just also wondering about hypervigilance, because hypervigilance, I think that it can be helpful for survival if it's accurate, but it seems to me that what happens with hypervigilance is you get overprimed and everything looks dangerous, and then how is it good for your survival, or if you're always on edge?
Well, it isn't,
Yeah.
and with you have a super sensitive brain
Yeah.
that takes in 100, things of data, and then you have these more intense feelings. You'll end up becoming an alcoholic,
Yeah.
some kind of an addict. You could end up committing suicide because these feelings are so strong. Because you're expecting, you don't trust anything. When's the next shoe going to fall? That's a hard one to change too. Expecting the worst. We expect the worst because we have been trained to expect the worst. Yeah. Well, good. Are we all good? Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming. I'm so happy to be here. I have a mailing list. I'd love to have you fill that out and take my card. And I'd love to keep in touch with you. And if you know of anyone who would want to do a session, which is complimentary, please let me know.